Ooh, welcome to the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast. This is episode 28, a little Thanksgiving special, where we're going to preview the Week 12 matchups and go through what we are thankful for in each and every one of those matchups. I'm going to sit back and let Kelvin drive this boat today. So without further ado, Kelvin, the mic is yours.
I appreciate that, Matt. I feel like I'm, like your oldest child getting the keys to the family car or something like that, and you're letting me drive. So I appreciate that honor. And I'm pumped to be right here at Thanksgiving Eve talking about football, talking about it with you, Dingus, talking about it with you, Jeff, Jeff, I want to toss it over to you. But for anybody who somehow doesn't know Jeff is very quickly, it's obvious on fantasy football Twitter that you are becoming the go-to injury person for all of fantasy Twitter. So you've got some of the best threads on Twitter. You got to be following Jeff if you aren't already. Jeff, what's going on?
Not much. I'm just glad to be here. I would have been on the road to Las Vegas right now, but that got canceled. So happy to be here. And thanks for that shout out. I'm not the best out there. All of my colleagues out there are still doing great work. But thanks for that shout out.
That humbleness is part of what makes you the best. So, so I'm excited. So speaking of that, we've got Thanksgiving here. We got some things to be grateful for. It's very obvious that the thing that I am most grateful for is that the New Orleans Saints have their quarterback of the future in Taysom Hill. I've been saying it for a long time. I'm glad we finally got to see it. It wasn't perfect, but it was very good. And it was a taste of what we're going to see in the future. I'm thankful for Taysom Hill and the fact that I feel like I know what the Saints are going to do with the next few years of the quarterback position. Matt, on this Thanksgiving Eve, I know it's not Thanksgiving technically in Canada, but you've got to have some things you're thankful for up there.
I've always got things to be thankful for. I'm the leader of the James Robinson fan club here, driving this bus all the way through 12 weeks of the football season here. And I am still in control of the road with this bad boy. This has been fantastic to watch an undrafted free agent out of Illinois State take the league by surprise. And I think he is RB4-ish, depending on the scoring system right now. So I'm thankful for James Robinson. Every once in a while, I know I was watching I think Chase over at FF Intervention joined the circle there, had Jeff's boy there, Ray, on, and Chase kind of said, Dingus was in on James Robinson from the get-go, and so Ray's like, kudo to you. And I just had to say, every once in a while, even a blind squirrel will find a nut. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can count on two hands all the big hits that I've had, but I need both feet and my hands to get all my misses. You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of where we're at with the fantasy football. We probably miss more than we make, especially when we try and diversify from the pack. So what I'm thankful for, James Robinson.
Well, you are more than capable of finding many nuts, Matt. We're very grateful for your ability to do so. And anybody tuning in to your words of wisdom certainly is going to be able to see that. Jeff, what are you thankful for?
Well, hang on. Sorry, Jeff. I sort of cut you off here. I don't know about many nuts, but I definitely can locate two of them. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was going to say I'm very thankful for the Dynasty Vipers, and then that comment came out. Aside from that, man, I'm thankful for the rookie running backs shining right now. The ones who hadn't already. James Robinson has obviously been a star in the making, but JT, JK, and CEH all looked great last week. So I'm thankful for that. They're just fun to watch.
We are definitely in a position where we have a lot to be thankful for. Bob is cheering you on your victory lap there, Dingus. Definitely glad. Look, there's never a bad time for a victory lap. I don't care. Just look, we get so few wins. Just take them. Just take all the wins that you can get. It's fine. Without further ado, I think it's time that we go ahead and start previewing Week 12. So Week 11 is over. We're moving forward, moving on to Week 12. We got a lot of great matchups. One less matchup tomorrow than we thought we were going to have, but we do have two, I guess they're good matchups, maybe. One of them could determine first place in a division, but we'll talk about that one in a minute. First, we're going to talk about the Houston Texans, the Detroit Lions. So Houston's coming off of a great win, obviously, really good matchup. Good game last week against the New England Patriots. Detroit, on the other hand, kind of went the other way last week, not really coming off a very good week. Maybe one of their worst games of the season. A lot of people, because Detroit has been so bad against the run, are starting to consider Duke Johnson against this terrible Lions defense. Jeff, should they be thinking about starting Duke Johnson?
Man, right now, that's tough. I would view Duke Johnson as like a low-end running back too, just on volume alone, because David Johnson is obviously not playing. Just based on the matchup, I would say yes, running back too. But man, he's looked so bad. Outside of Deshaun Watson, he's been. I don't really like any of the Houston team right now. But yeah, Duke Johnson, I would say low end running back too. And then I'm actually looking at Kiki Kuti a little bit with Randall Cobb out. Randall Cobb just went to IR with a toe injury on Houston's side. So, what about you, Matt?
This is like the Thanksgiving dinner for you, this Houston-Detroit matchup. It's more like the cranberry sauce. It really serves no purpose in your Thanksgiving meal. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at the Detroit. Kenny Galladay's out. DeAndre Swift is probably going to be out. Matt Stafford is still a little banged up. There's not much to be thankful for as a Detroit Lions fan right now when you look at the injuries that they've dealt with. Houston, on the other hand, man, play that music, DJ, because the DJ that music is playing in Houston ain't right. Whether it's David Johnson or Duke Johnson, you ain't getting the value out of this. Stay out of that club. Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller, that's where it's at. This is going to be an interesting. I know it's going to be tough not to play Duke Johnson, but if you have better options, do it. But Duke Johnson and that Detroit Lions run defense is going to be a tempting trap. I think you may get some points, but honestly, you may be better off with a Gus Edwards on Sunday, now that Ravens and Steelers game got moved, than you would be with a Duke Johnson going in, even though the matchup looks favorable. So for me, what I'm looking forward to, what I'm thankful for, is the need for speed. Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller, and that beat-up Detroit secondary. If you're looking for points, Deshaun Watson, he's going to be slinging that ball like he was last week.
Yeah, I love that. And we've got a couple of great comments here in the chat. Taysom Hill fan number 1. Not sure if that's a real mustache or not, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's real. And it's spectacular.
Well, young Kelvin and Hobby, it's natural, all natural, and it is spectacular.
FF Realist, this is me joining in the chat. And yes, all of you, anybody watching, toss us a comment, toss us a like, say something in the chat here. Love the interaction with everyone. Very grateful for that. And
start sit questions in
yeah,
matchups.
And what you're thankful for. Maybe what you're thankful for in fantasy, what you're thankful for in life, what you're thankful about your facial hair, whatever it might be.
So maybe I'm going to cut you off here again because that's what I do best. While you're tuning in here right now, you mentioned the mustache. I want to get this out here before because I think we have the most traffic right now than we'll have at the end of the show. I posted on my Twitter account right now. Check out my pinned tweet. Me and Chase, we are waxing our chest because we've hit 2,000 followers. But in the process, we're raising money for No Kid Hungry. This Christmas is probably going to be tougher on families than ever before that we've seen. And the need for food for these families and these kids are probably at an all-time high. If you can, please consider donating to this cause, either directly through my Dynasty Vipers PayPal or directly to No Kid Hungry. The link is in the tweet as well. And then just screenshot us anything that you can do. And here's the kicker. Not only am I waxing my chest, like it's like a shag carpet down there. Like it's not going to be good. But if we hit the magical $2,500 dollar mark, $2,000 US, I'm going to shave the stash is coming off as well. So you mentioned the stash. This beautiful, beautiful lip warmer is coming off hopefully before Christmas if we can hit $2,000 US by December 11th. Chase, back to you.
I am Cal, but I'll still take it. And
Oh, sorry, Cal. I was just talking with Chase.
and, yeah, Chase. Hey, I guess if you're here, hop on too. But no, that's really good. Real quick, Jeff. My one more thing for this one. Kiki Cutie once had 11 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown in a playoff game. That was last calendar year, not that long ago, early 2019. Maybe he can do it again. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is the matchup. One other thing on Detroit's side too, because people will be asking about DeAndre Swift. He has not cleared concussion protocol yet. He has until tomorrow morning. I'm viewing that as a true 50-50. So keep an eye on that in the morning. The game's at early, so 9:30 in the morning Pacific, or 11:30 Central, or 12:30 Eastern. So just keep an eye on that in the morning.
Moving on to the battle in the NFC East that likely, once Philadelphia loses to Seattle, will become maybe a team that's tied for first place. In that division, we've got Alex Smith going against Andy Dalton. I mean, exactly what you were hoping for on Thanksgiving Day. Two powerhouses head-to-head. Of course, we're going to roll out Gibson. We're going to roll out Terry McLaurin. Is there anybody in Dallas going against that tough Washington defense that you are starting and excited to start, Matt?
Oh, man. First off, what is the best part about Thanksgiving? Wearing your stretchy pants or your sweatpants, okay? And we want to talk about sweatpants. Terry McLaurin can make my sweatpants move. I love Terry McLaurin. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, there's a little bit of movement going down there. What are we looking for? Dude, the comeback player of the year, Alex Smith. All he does is perform. I don't care. I've heard it on Twitter. I've heard the demands. Rename the watch your mouth, young one. Rename the award Alex Smith Award. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously. It's fun to watch. I don't care who you are. Even if you're not a football fan, the stuff that he's been able to do is fantastic. The comeback story is legit. That's what I'm watching. I'm watching Terry McLaurin, but Alex Smith, I'll be watching close attention to him. And obviously this, you talk about Andy Dalton, Alex Smith, huge quarterback matchup for Thanksgiving. And first place in the NFC East could be on the line. The winner of this matchup could end up in first place by the end of the week of that division with 4 wins, I believe.
Chip?
Yeah, there's only one team in the rest of the NFC that I think I saw that is worse than any of the teams in the East. The rest of the conference is crazy. Terry McLaurin, we're rolling out. I know he's listed as questionable with an ankle injury. Washington did not practice today, but he would have been a full practice. They already listed him as that. So I'm not worried about him. I didn't see anything on film that makes me concerned about an injury. Same with Antonio Gibson. He's listed with an ankle, but full practice all week. No concern there. Yeah, aside from that, on Dallas's end, Washington still doesn't allow very many points to wide receivers. I think I still like CeeDee Lamb in this matchup, just coming out of the slot. And then Zeke, he's a volume play. If you have Zeke, you're not benching him unless you have some amazing pivot like James Robinson.
Yeah, with you there. And hey, make sure you check out Viper Swag. Check out our friends at Viridium Global. Check out that link down there below. That's where you want to pick up some Dynasty Viper swag. Later on the show, we might even give you a sneak peek. If Matt can work on pulling that up later, that would be awesome. And just last thing I'll mention on this, J.D. Mckissick, obviously people were very disappointed in him last week. I think game script was the biggest factor in him not getting the target share he had. I don't think we should think too much about that. If you were expecting J.D. Mckissick to be a fantasy stud that gets 15 targets a week, that was never going to happen. But Washington controlled the game. They were up the whole time. That they didn't need to pass the ball as much, so you didn't see him as much. So, all right, so after that's over, we'll have a couple of days, and then Sunday morning we get right back into the action. And the first one we're going to talk about is maybe one of the most exciting matchups of the week. We've got two really good young quarterbacks, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, the Chargers going to Buffalo to take them on. It's going to be one of the more watchable games of the week. I definitely want to make sure I'm paying attention to that. But Jeff, I'll toss this one to you. Who has the better day out of these two quarterbacks?
Ooh. Man, that's tough because Herbert's balling out right now. I would say Herbert, mostly because so everyone's asking about Austin Eckler. He's back to practice, which is great. Just something to keep in mind, though. He came back to practice today for the first time, so he'll only have 4 days of practice before game time, and after a major injury. So if he plays, even if he's active, he's likely to be on limited snaps. The other issue is Kalen Ballage at the very end of the game. I think he suffered an ankle, possibly calf injury, and he's actually listed as limited in practice. So their running back situation, they're going to be limited. So I think Herbert's going to be airing it out. So I'll take Herbert over Josh Allen.
Matt, what do you think?
You know where I stand on this. Justin Herbert, my boy wonder. I had him before the draft process ahead of Joe Burrow. It kind of feels bad doing a victory lap now, considering everything that's gone down. Justin Herbert's the real deal. There's no doubt about this. But what I'm looking for is, oh boy, can we get a Tre'Davious White versus a Keenan Allen matchup this week? Because you know me, I love my defenses. I love when we get into this whole. This is going to be a beautiful one-on-one matchup. Like Tre'Davious White is one of the best cover corners in the league. Keenan Allen is one of the best route runners. He always finds a way to get open. He got peppered. Justin Herbert peppered his ass last week with targets. I can't even remember what the number was. Like 16 receptions for 145 yards. Insane numbers. If you're in PPR, he pretty much single-handedly won you the week. Hunter Henry found the end zone. Mike Williams found the end zone. Justin Herbert is spreading that ball around. And Jeff, where are we with Austin Eckler? There's some rumblings that the winter breeze is blowing Eckler's name around here recently. He could be coming back sooner than later. So this Chargers offense is going to start clicking. And I've said this from the beginning. I said it last week and probably even the week before. There are certain teams you do not want to face, especially if you're contending. Buffalo, you are facing one of those teams in the Chargers. It's the Chargers, the Falcons. These are teams that can actually ruin your season. Man, I'm looking forward to it. I've actually taken the Chargers to win this matchup this week.
Oh, well, listen, if I had to guess, it's going to be a one-score game, and the Chargers are going to come out on the wrong side of it. That's just kind of every Chargers game ever is basically that.
Well, yeah, Chargers are going to Charger. That's kind of what's been going on the last 5, 6, 12 years.
Yeah, I'll take the Bills. And so here's a couple of things. We did promise you guys last week we were going to mention some fantasy playoff matchups. So here's the first one out of all these that have jumped out to me that I'll say. Chargers in weeks 14, 15, 16, they get Atlanta, they get the Raiders, and they get the Broncos. You almost certainly can't buy Herbert right now, but that sounds like a really good matchup and good recipe for Hunter Henry to make up for with you. If you've made it to the fantasy playoffs with Hunter Henry, I think you got a chance of doing well with him, or maybe you can trade for him and acquire him. Josh Allen, on the other hand, he's got the Steelers in week 14. That's a tough week 1. Hopefully, if you've got him, you've got the bye. So moving on, we've got another couple of stud quarterbacks here that we're going to talk about. We've got the New York Giants versus the Cincinnati Bengals. We've got Daniel Jones, and on the other end, some Brandon Allen, Buddy Allen, somebody on the other side for Cincinnati. I blew all of my fab on Ryan Finley. I'm not bitter at all.
Never go full Finley.
That's, it is whatever. But obviously, we don't have Joe Burrow. That's the sad news, and that's what we have to look at now, the reality of it. If you've got some of those wide receivers, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jeff, are you interested in starting either one of those guys this week?
Yeah, honestly, off first glance, I would say no. I have to look more into Brandon Allen, his time went over at Denver, to see who he peppered. But I felt good. Yeah, it was probably 2-3 games at most. I felt good about Tyler Boyd with Ryan Finley in. Now with Brandon Allen, I'm staying away. In fact, I don't do leagues with defense, but a couple of people have asked me, and I would stream the Giants just because there's also the concern of Gio Bernard missing the game with a concussion. He developed symptoms that came out today, so it might be Samaje Perine starting there with Brandon Allen at quarterback. I'm going no Bengals this week. Not even my boy T. Higgins, and I love T. Higgins.
Do. That's not copyright infringement, by the way. We're getting hit with a start-sit question here, so let's go here before I go into my Bengals response. AJ Brown, Robbie Anderson, Robert Woods, or Claypool. Start 3. So basically, I'm looking at this as it says sit 1. I'm sitting Robbie Anderson. Robert Woods, big play. Claypool against that Ravens that may not even have a secondary based on COVID. And AJ Brown is a man among children out there in the receiver position. I'm sitting Robbie Anderson.
With Teddy Bridgewater back, I'm not sitting Robbie Anderson. There's no way. For me, as tough as it is, Robert Woods is the guy that I'm sitting right here, coming off of a great matchup. But never pay for last week's points, right, Matt? Never pay for last week's points. He's got San Francisco this week. That's a tougher matchup. Jeff, what do you think?
As your resident Niner fan, I would say play Robert Woods. Our defense has not been able to stop much. This is tough. I'm not concerned about AJ Brown's injury at the end of the game. I think he'll play, but monitor that. If he's out, obviously you sit him. I would play Robbie Anderson as well with the matchup and Teddy Bridgewater coming back. I would say sit Claypool.
Well, we absolutely did not help you at all there.
Yeah.
So just depends on who you like better. Phantom Gaming, and you should definitely listen to me. So, okay, Matt, Bengals versus the Giants. What do you got?
I am thankful for Rocky movies because I predict pain in this matchup. Not for the teams playing, but for the people watching. That's what I'm thankful for. The Giants, we talk about the battle of first place potentially in the NFC East. The Giants also could end up in first place in the NFC East here with a very easy matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals here. This, man, I hate Joe Burrow. It's the LSU thing, but this really, really is a downer, Joe Burrow's injury, because of my love for T. Higgins, my love of Tyler Boyd, my love for A.J. Green. These guys are all now pretty much unplayable in my eye. I'm not willing to risk starting any Bengals based on Brandon Allen and Ryan Finley. That's probably not happening in my way. They probably should have hung on to Andy Dalton, just saying, but they didn't. So I think that you could fire up the Darius Slaytons. I think you could fire up the Sterling Shepherds this week. I think there's going to be some Giants having some big games. And because I can't stand Evan Ingram, he's probably going to have the biggest of them all.
I am definitely an Ingram fan. And listen, I wanted to – most people don't realize, but if you're one of those teams that is kind of on the playoff fringe, check out what the New York Giants face over the next few weeks. They get Cincinnati, they get Seattle, they get Arizona, and they get Cleveland. Now, there's not necessarily big wins for the New York Giants coming in those games, but those are good passing matchups. Daniel Jones is pretty cheap, coming off of a bye. They got a new system that they're installing, so a little bit more time for Jason Garrett to work with his QB. I can see Daniel Jones, Darius Slayton being people you want to target and get into your lineup as they go into these prime matchups for the next 4 weeks. And Hollywood, appreciate the shout out. Definitely, we love you. We do need to talk some more IDP, and maybe at some point we need to have Daryl on to talk IDP. But moving on, we are going to be talking about a matchup that Hollywood is certainly going to be paying attention to and watching, because we're going to be talking about the Tennessee Titans versus the Indianapolis Colts. The savior, Ryan Tannehill, and Phillip Rivers. It's definitely, in terms of the playoffs, one of the more meaningful games of the day. And here's my biggest question in this matchup. Matt, I'll throw it to you. Did we just see the Jonathan Taylor breakout game, or is Frank Reich going to continue to play games with fantasy managers as he's done all year?
I think we're going to continue seeing him play games with it. I think Nyheim Hines is going to get rolling again this week in this matchup, especially against the Tennessee Titans. Titans don't get to the quarterback, but they get pressure on the quarterback. That's been kind of their MO for most of the season so far. Nyheim Hines, like I've said this 100 times, when there's pressure on the quarterback, you check down. That's kind of how it works in the running back position. I think that was more of an anomaly for Jonathan Taylor based on what we've seen this season. It seems like he has one good game and about 8 bad games. So I would not expect Jonathan Taylor to get going against this Titans defense this week. Titans are licking their wounds a little bit from the last couple of weeks. Watch for them to come out and get ready for this game. This is a playoff game. We've talked about that whole AFC. There is a cluster of teams in the 7-3 and the 6-4 mark and all banded together. You lose a game when you're 6-4 right now, you may be out of the playoffs. Baltimore, Tennessee, I'm looking at you guys this week because this is going to be a tough one for you. Like, they got lucky with that big Derrick Henry run in overtime last week. I don't think they get that run against Indianapolis. That defense in Indianapolis, that DeForest Buckner-led defense, is playing next level. We talked about what they did. Look what they did to Green Bay last week. I think Indy takes this game. I'm sorry, Daryl, but I think this is Phillip Rivers. He's going to come out there. He's going to sling it 15 yards at a time, and it's going to be like death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's what Phillip Rivers' offense is right now. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. 5 yard, 5 yard, 5 yard, all the way down the field, just tossing these 5 yard outs. And I think that's what we're going to see here. So what am I thankful for? I am thankful for, in this matchup, a quarterback who has as many children as I do. That's what I am thankful for. Jeff, what do you got?
I am thankful for a stud rookie running back who will prove you wrong. Jonathan Taylor will break out again this week. I'm picking Tennessee. Multiple factors. A.J. Brown and Jonnu Smith, I'm not concerned about their injuries. I expect them to play.
Well, I'm not concerned about their injuries. I'm concerned about the secondary of the Colts that seems to shut everyone down.
Give me a second here, because DeForest Buckner-led defense will not have DeForest Buckner, most likely, because he's on COVID. So that's what I'm looking for. If he's inactive, that's a huge loss right there. Plus, Phillip Rivers is banged up. He's dealing with a toe injury. He's going to face a tough time getting the ball out. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for. At the end of the game, I'm looking for them to bring in Jacob Eason, who throws rockets to Michael Pittman. And the Colts' best pass-catching running back, Jonathan Taylor.
His pace is actually really good. This is one of those things where stats end up kind of giving you not the whole story. He's been very frustrating to own this year, but if you look at his projections, he's what he's projected to have for the rest of the year, it's actually pretty good, like 1,200 yards and 40 catches or something. But it has not felt like that owning him at all this year, no doubt. But here's what I will say: if he can prove himself, let's say he does, he goes back and he gets another 20 plus carries. His matchups in the fantasy playoffs, Tennessee, Houston, are actually going down the stretch. Tennessee, Houston, Vegas, and Houston again. So he's got a lot that he can do. And if he can take the reins, he's going to be really good for us. Going to be money. Make sure you hang on to him, of course. So the other person that has great matchups, Derrick Henry. He always seems undervalued in fantasy. I just bought him for a first and 2 second rounders, I guess because of his age, something like that. But it's a team that I am this close to winning. I've never won in this league before. I want to win this game. I want to bring home a championship this year. He's got Jacksonville, Detroit, and Green Bay in the fantasy playoffs. He is going to be a monster if you've got him or if you can buy him. So what's up, Destination Devi? Certainly love the activity in the chat room. Let's continue to see as much of that as we can. Moving on to our next matchup, we get
Kelvin. We call this the Jeff factor right now. When we get Destination Devi checking in, we know it's the Jeff factor playing into this one.
And he gives us a shout outs for Jacob Eason. I mean, that's what a guy. Like, what else can you ask for? So, like I said, Jeff is the go-to injury guy for all of fantasy Twitter. I don't care how many people disagree. That is true. You say it enough times, it's true. People believe it.
And we've got our boy there, Louis, checking us in from FF Down Under. I am going to try my darndest to get up at 4:30 tomorrow morning to get on the show down there. So, Louis, I'm trying to get on tomorrow morning. I promise I'll try to get on. I don't know how it's going to work yet, but we're going to try.
Well, Jeff, it's your time to shine. We got a lot of your fans in here with us right now. So let's talk about
crazy.
The Carolina Panthers, who are coming off. They got a quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, coming back in. Can we trust him? What do you expect of the Carolina this week?
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater practiced in full. I think this week I'm trusting him a lot more than if he had played last week. It's kind of a bummer, though, because I actually liked what PJ Walker showed us last week. Maybe it's my bias with having DJ Moore shares. But yeah, Teddy B's coming back. I have to own this one. I was telling people that I think CMC will come back this week, and it appears that he won't. He practiced with a non-contact jersey on. So, and Matt Rule already said he's most likely not playing, which I think we're starting to see the direction that Rule and Joe Brady lean towards, a little more conservative. But again, I'm not in the room. I don't know how much pain he's in. I don't know how much swelling he's dealing with. So it's looking like a week 14 return. For those to remember, week 13, Carolina has their bye. And then on the other side, I'm looking for another person who's on COVID to see if he gets cleared in time in Adam Thielen. So if he's not cleared, room's open, which maybe it already was for Justin Jefferson, rookie wide receiver 1.
Hey, Jeff, at what point do or should they just shut him down? Referring to Christian McCaffrey right now. By week 13, you said possible target week 14. 15, 16, 17, Carolina's probably already out of this right now. I know if you're probably not really like, you kind of have to hold on to him if you're challenging for a playoff spot as far as fantasy goes. If you're going to make the fantasy playoffs, you've got to hang on to him because it's going to be huge. But could the Panthers just shut him down? Is that something they may consider here right now at this point of the season?
Yeah, they'd have to be ultra conservative timeline wise with an AC sprain. I mean, health wise, he should be able to come back. I'm not a big fan of the fantasy viewpoint of, these teams need to shut these guys down. We value that based on our dynasty lineups, dynasty rosters. They care about NFL reps. They care about getting the team in rhythm and seeing what they have to work with going into next year. Because they don't know if maybe there's another year like this where there's no preseason where they don't get those reps in. So it's important to get them back on the field. And ultimately, these guys are competitors. So injured or not, they want to play, especially a guy like CMC. He's already said, or another guy I can think of, George Kittle, they've already said, we want to get back on the field. So I don't think the team will shut him down. But again, that's the one piece that's difficult to predict as an injury analyst is how conservative will the staff be?
Yeah, I think a lot of people discount how different these athletes are and their mindset. And, you hear the stories about Tom Brady not even sharing backup reps with other quarterbacks because he doesn't want them to, just how competitive these guys are. CMC is not going to want to shut things down. You'd have to convince him to do so. And I don't think you'd be able to do that. I will say look, you're not selling him in Dynasty, but in redraft, could you think about selling Dalvin Cook? Maybe. He's got Tampa Bay, Chicago, and New Orleans in the fantasy playoffs. That's a really, really tough slate. If you could flip him for Derrick Henry or Aaron Jones, that might not be bad. We'll talk about Aaron Jones here in just a little bit as well. But for now, we're going to move on to the Arizona Cardinals and the New England Patriots. This is an interesting little angle, I think, for this matchup. It's the first time in I can't even remember how long that the Patriots are sitting with an unrealistic chance to reach the playoffs. And we already know they've got guys that have opted out. They've got guys that are hurt. Like, is Belichick, we don't know the answer to this. We can guess. He's one of the best of all time. But we don't know the answer to, can Bill Belichick keep a team fighting when they don't have a chance at the playoffs? That's just something we don't quite know. And does the defense have enough to slow down Kyler Murray? Matt, what do you think?
Okay, so just touch on this here at the Bill Belichick team fighting here with no to the playoffs. They got a lot of young players in that lineup. They're going to keep fighting. They got roster spots to try and contend for next year, especially when these players who opt back in come back. They got something to prove right now. They got to put that image, in, especially the coach like Bill Belichick, who's essentially he's the GM, he's the coach, he's everything in New England. So they'll keep fighting right through the end. This gets interesting for me because first off, I am thankful for Chase Edmonds. I think he's about to go off here again. He's been one of those guys that's kind of bailed me out in the Scott Fish Bowl. Really loving what he did. The Fordham product there has played absolutely unreal. He's probably the better back of the two right now. And I think you're going to see him gain more touches away from Kenyon Drake as the season keeps on going so that the Cardinals can see what they actually have in Chase Fordham. I think they already know, but now it's just about getting it out there and then kind of convincing the fan base and all this other fun stuff that comes with the politics of football. But Chase Edmonds is by far the better back of the two. And that's saying something for me because Kenyon Drake is from where? Alabama. So you know how I feel about Kenyon Drake. I love my Tide players. So Kyler Murray, he is I don't care who you are, how you want to look at it. He is the fantasy football MVP at this point. He is the most valuable player to fantasy football on your rosters as far as points go. Now, if you ask me who the most valuable is altogether, it's my boy James Robinson because you pretty much got it for free and he's absolutely killing it for you. That's how I would look at the fantasy football MVP. James Robinson's got my vote. But Kyler Murray right now, if you've got him in your lineup, you have nothing else to worry about at that quarterback position going forward. He is a human cheat code right now with the passing and the rushing game.
Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not concerned about the Kyler Murray's dealing with a right AC sprain. If you follow me, I posted something during the game that talked about how he was being worked on by trainers. He finished the game. If anything, his deep throws were a little less accurate. He's going to struggle there. It really depends on how much the joint swelled post game. So they've been able to manage it over the past week. I think he'll come out just fine. He practiced limited. I'd love to see him practice in full by the end of the week to feel really confident. But either way, you're playing Kyler just for his rushing upside alone as well. And
Two more things here on Kyler Murray. One, it doesn't matter how accurate you are. You got DeAndre Hopkins you're throwing the ball to. It doesn't even have to be that accurate. It just has to be in an area. And two,
unless he throws it to Isabella.
Stop it. Two, we're talking about the Arizona Cardinals training staff. We're not talking about the Chargers training staff. He'll be fine.
That was your second point. Yeah.
I have written down in my notes that I love Larry Fitzgerald, but there's no reason why he should be getting double-digit targets in the year of our Lord 2020. But based on what you're saying, that actually might make some sense. If he is going to be struggling with deep accuracy, hey, maybe a guy like Larry Fitzgerald having a chance to go underneath, getting more targets. Maybe he gets double-digit targets again. With no teams on bye, it seems hard to fit him into your lineup. But just in case somebody's really struggling, or maybe DFS, I don't know. And I completely disagree. I don't think Chase Edmonds or Drake looks like the running back of the future for this Arizona Cardinals team. So I've already started looking to see they're going to draft somebody. We need to figure out who that's going to be. So, I
agree with that.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that need to figure out something at running back, let's move on to this next matchup. We've got the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. Neither really have that running back position quite figured out right now.
Whoa. The Jets have Frank Gore. They're solidified at the running back position.
Tell me more about this young Frank Gore.
So they brought this running back in named Le'Veon Bell. He's gone. Then they got LaMichael Pirine, thinking he's a stud. Let's draft him. Let's give him the ball. He gone too. He hurt. Frank Gore's the only one standing again. I'm telling you, there's only a few things guaranteed in life. Death, taxes, and Frank Gore running the ball. He is going to be the running back of the Jets until the Jets draft Frank Gore's son in 3 years.
Jeff, let me toss over to you real quick because this is something that I think I don't want to talk about the Crimson Tide with Matt, so I'm going to toss this one to you instead. But Tua gets benched last week in Denver. He doesn't, some people say injury, but look, the coach says that's not injury related. I don't think we need to be worried about his mental psyche or anything like that. He's a football player. Get in there, like he's going to have a chance to bounce back. Does he bounce back? He's got a great matchup against the Jets. Does he bounce back?
Well, great question. Downside to him bouncing back is today in practice, as he was throwing, he jammed his left thumb into one of his teammates' helmets. So now he's dealing with that. So who knows how he's going to be. He practiced limited today. He may be unable to practice tomorrow. That's something that we're definitely monitoring.
Tua only needs 4 fingers. That's a fact.
Last week we saw, he even made a comment where he said, yeah, I've realized that wide receivers in the NFL don't get open as easily as they did in Alabama. Well, yeah, there you have it. So that's what I want to see is, does he trust his wide receivers enough to throw it into tight windows? That might be tough this week. They may change that up a little bit where they just get the ball out of his hands a little quicker if he plays while he's dealing with the left thumb injury. That's the main thing I'm looking on there. And then at the running back position, I'm looking to see. I think the main running back this week will be Myles Gaskin. He's coming back if he plays. He practiced in a non-contact jersey, so that's something I'm looking for. I'm hoping to see him practice in full by Myles Gaskin, running back 1. And then something that helps Gaskin's case is Salvon Ahmed. He is dealing with a shoulder injury, and he wasn't able to practice. So it might be Gaskin again.
I got to ask this on Twitter here today. I'm going to throw it to you here real quickly. Ahmed or Duke Johnson?
Oh, Gaskin.
That was one of the options. You're not even playing the game right. Come on, man. I told him Duke Johnson, but I felt dirty about it.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know if Ahmed's going to play, and you can't wait for what might happen and have Duke Johnson sitting on your bench waiting to see if Ahmed does play. So you have to go with the sure thing there in this situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Duke, I saw a stat where Duke is handling 95% of the running back touches. So you have to go with the volume play there. The sure.
Well, it's either him or CJ Procise.
I wish they would give Scotty Phillips some run, but
no love for Buddy Howell.
No.
Anyway, we're talking Dolphins Jets here. I got sidetracked again. Duke Johnson. My bad. Sorry, Calvin.
Yeah, that's okay. I think you left somebody out that I'm interested in the Jets backfield is Ty Johnson. He did get 4 targets, 4 catches last week. Might be a sneaky little play if they're going to get behind, no doubt. But honestly, even if Tua is healthy, I'm kind of staying away from that entire matchup. And Sean makes an interesting point. Does he even have any wide receivers? Certainly after Parker, he doesn't have any. And Parker, he's the kind of guy that needs someone to throw to him that's not going to wait for a huge window and a lot of space. So I think the Dolphins are going to try and control this game. I think they're going to be happy to run the ball. I think they're going to be limiting him like they were before. If Tua is in there to 20, 25 passes tops. I have been saying I want to see what happens when he gets into a game script where he gets 30 to 35 attempts. We were on track for that last week. And obviously they pulled him, put in Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I don't think we're going to get that this week, but I hope before all is over that we get to see Tua and what he looks like when he gets a game script where he's got to throw the ball a lot. I would really like to see that. So
one last thing. Joe Flacco was elite. Continue.
Yeah, that was the one other thing that I'm watching for too is Sam Darnold is listed as day-to-day. He practiced limited, so I'll be curious if he comes back as well. Then I'd be more interested in Jamison Crowder, but as of right now. How do you feel about Denzel Mims against Miami secondary?
I don't like it. I like Miami secondary. You got Byron Jones out there, Xavier Howard. These guys can ball out there and they can shut you down. I've talked about this for a few weeks. I think we've all kind of discussed this. That defense has taken on that identity of Brian Flores out there, right? That's kind of what they do. They look good. They play good. This is going to be a tough matchup for Denzel Mims there. So will you put your boy to bed already? Elite. ELITE. Elite.
Look, Joe Flacco is not the worst quarterback on this morning's slate. I think the edge by a neck goes to Mike Glennon in our next matchup that we're going to talk about. And that
I'm so happy you got that in there.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Jacksonville Jaguars, they love to give out more than anything. They love to give out 100-yard receiving days. But on the other side, the Cleveland Browns, speaking of not having any wide receivers, do the Cleveland Browns have anybody that you could think of that's going to do that? And my biggest question is, are the Cleveland Browns going to even throw the ball more than 20 times? And let me ask you this, Jeff. Could the Cleveland Browns win this game without a pass attempt?
Oh, for 100%. I have zero doubt. That's the easiest question you've asked me this entire show. Just run Nick Chubb, who is ridiculously elite, run Kareem Hunt, run them both 25 times. Don't even throw it. Don't put the ball in Baker's hand.
So don't fact check me here, but I think it's been like 12 quarters since Baker Mayfield's actually thrown a touchdown pass.
Ooh.
There's an insane number. And you throw the bye week in there, it's like insane, like 5 weeks between touchdown passes. Don't fact check me, but it's definitely an interesting thing. DJ Chark. Jeff, we just got news here today. DJ Chark.
Yep. Yeah, he's dealing with rib injuries. I need to go back. I'm going to go back tomorrow morning and look through the game, see if I find any injury where he came out. I know they held him out of the game, but at the end of the game, but I thought it was because they were down by so much. They held him and James Robinson out. So I'll go back and look for what happened there, but he didn't practice today. So that's the main thing that I'm watching for. Laviska Shenault, when he returned for a limited practice, I just don't know. I'm more interested in Shenault if Chark doesn't play. But either way, with Mike Glennon at quarterback, the only person I'm interested in playing on the Jaguars is James Robinson.
And I think we've seen that James Robinson's pretty much matchup proof at this point there. He had a tough matchup against the Steelers. He still almost put up 100 all-purpose yards there. So I think you can trust him regardless of the matchup, regardless of the quarterback, because he was doing this with Jake Luton there, who was throwing 4 picks a game. So Luton, gluten-free. I don't know. Calvin made some kind of gluten-free joke here. I don't know. We're talking about gluten-free and we're talking about by a neck. So Jacksonville is kind of turning into like a pun joke right now. Yeah, start your running backs in this matchup. James Robinson, he's my boy. And then on the flip side, like I said, Chubb's playing a man possessed right now. He is busting off some big chunks of yards here in the recent weeks, and he's going to do it again against Jacksonville. There's no doubt about it. And unfortunately, Bronco Nugarski's never played for either one of these teams, but being the good old Canadian that he is, he could probably still run against the Jacksonville defense as well. So,
Sean asked a question here. I would stay away from Austin Hooper. I don't know why people still view him as a good start because, he's done nothing.
I think it comes down to that name brand thing where you go out there and you think you're outsmarting the system because every year when it comes to the tight end position, we go, you know what? You can wait on tight end. You can wait on tight end. You can get an Austin Hooper late. You can get Dallas Goedert late. You can get these guys 8th, 9th round. Wait on the tight end position. And then all of a sudden you're waiting on this tight end position and you're stuck with Hooper. You have no other options but Hooper. Everyone's hanging with Mr. Hooper. By the way, if you're old enough to remember Mr. Cooper, that's kind of the reference I was going for there. Austin Hooper, is he a good start? Probably not, but you may be forced to use him because there's a good chance if you're like me and Hooper is one of my tight ends because I chose to wait on the tight end position, I'm going to have to start him and hope for the best. If Hooper was on any other team playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, then I would say, yes, he's a good start. But where you look at Baker Mayfield's last 5 games or last 5 weeks where he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass, I find it difficult to play Austin Hooper. Now, not all games are created equal. A lot of those games have been in Cleveland where the weather has not been very favorable. So keep that in mind too when we're judging the Cleveland Browns passing in the last couple of weeks. But I would try to avoid Hooper personally.
The biggest hope for Jacksonville, obviously, is that Gardner Minshew comes back. But, I guess on the flip side, you are worried about that. There could be some sabotage from Vladimir Luton. So watch out for that. The next game we're going to talk about, the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. 10-0, Pittsburgh Steelers, undefeated. Baltimore Ravens coming in. They're in need of a slump buster. But Pittsburgh Steelers are not interested in having any of that at home. They are not happy about having this matchup moved. This is the kind of game where you see, you saw Tennessee come out with a chip on their shoulder earlier in the year because of some schedule movement around things. I think Pittsburgh is going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. They are going to be ready to just take absolute control of this division, knock the Ravens out. Lamar Jackson's been struggling, obviously. We got some COVID issues, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram. Matt, I'll throw it over to you. Are we all aboard the Gus bus in this one?
You know what? I'm on the Gus bus because I can't quit the Gus bus. I would not recommend the Gus bus for everyone this week, but I'm probably going to be riding it because that's what I do. I stick with my guys. I love Gus. I love what he was able to do at Rutgers. Now, saying all that, don't listen to me on this one. Just let me go on my little tangent here. I'm going to tell you to start Gus, but don't do it, okay? It's the Steelers. Don't do it. Half this line from Baltimore could come down with COVID before we know it. This could be a practice squad game for the Ravens going into this. They've already had 5 players test positive, hence the reason we're moved from Thursday to Sunday. I don't think we've seen the last of these positive tests for the Ravens right now. Where else are those going to come into? Both Ingram and Dobbins were tested positive. There's a chance Gus could test positive here in the next day or two because of symptoms after so many days, right? So I would, as much as I love Gus Edwards, I would be trying to stay away from any Raven. Now, you would think that Lamar Jackson's has been playing with COVID for the last 5, 6, 7, 11 weeks by now because he's been pretty sick in the way he's been playing because Justin Herbert has been outperforming him every single week. Just putting that out there again. Gus Edwards, I want to start him because I love my boy, but don't do it.
Yeah.
Jeff, what are you looking for in this matchup?
Feels like a trap. I'm gonna laugh if for whatever reason Justice Hill outscores Gus Edwards. Crazier things have happened. Main thing I'm looking for is I'm still looking into if there is any possibility for JK or Mark Ingram to return. I'm fairly certain they're both for sure out, even with the game moved. Someone asked me that. And I think even if they tested negative over the next, 2 days, I think they would still be out. But I have to check the protocols on that. Juju Smith-Schuster, he tripped over the ref's flag and injured his toe, which is pretty hilarious. He did practice in full, but is expected to play. So I think he'll be good to go there. So I guess the main thing I'm looking for is which Steelers wide receiver scores the most against this Baltimore defense. And after I said sit Chase Claypool earlier, Matt 9 reached out to me and said, "Hey, don't sit Chase Claypool," and he's right. Don't do it.
Don't sit Canadian players. You don't do it. He's
Canadian.
He's a good old Canadian boy.
He's good for 2 touchdowns.
When Juju, when he tripped over that flag, did he pick that up so that he could wipe his tears about this game getting moved? Because I was watching his Twitter, and I'm pretty confident he was using it as a hanky to. No, just me.
I don't think so. I didn't see anything on his Instagram or whatever on his fleet.
Last note on this game. This is some funny math. I get it. People aren't going to like this, but if you just look at the games where Deontay Johnson started and finished, his points per game rank him second in the NFL. Deontay Johnson, he's a beast. Moving on to the Raiders. Your Raiders, Matt, versus the Atlanta Falcons, who just had Taysom Hill score 24.42 fantasy points against them last week. Does Derek Carr beat that number?
Yeah, Derek Carr beats that number. Are you kidding me? It's a 30-point week coming for Derek Carr. Did you not see him give the old Undertaker kind of stare down into the camera? Man, the dude is ready. He's got his mascara. He's ready to roll, man. Derek Carr is a man possessed. He went toe-to-toe again with Patrick Mahomes and damn near beat the Chiefs again. Okay? Here's the thing. Atlanta's not good. They are a team that scares me every week, just like the Chargers do. Julio is not at 100%. Julio's doing Julio things. Why? Because I have him on a bunch of my rosters. And whenever I cave in and go back, Matt, put your son to bed. Put that boy to bed. Whenever I get a lot of Julio shares, these soft tissue injuries start to flare up every year. Once I trade him off my rosters, he's healthy. It's me. It really is. I'm responsible for Julio's injuries. I really am. I apologize in advance. Back to Derek Carr. He is going to put up, I'm going to say, 300 yards and another 3 touchdowns this week. If Taysom Hill can put up yards, so can Derek Carr. He's an actual quarterback. Okay? So here we go. Derek Carr, easily top 5 quarterback this week. Mark, put it down.
Is that going to be one of the bets?
I don't know. I don't even know. We haven't done one of those for a couple weeks here because.
Jeff, what do you think? What are you looking forward to in this matchup? Doesn't have to be about Derek Carr. What are you looking forward to?
Thank you for not making me talk.
Vegas Falcons.
Yeah, I think it'll be more of a run game for Las Vegas. I almost called him Oakland there. Josh Jacobs, Devonta Booker. I think they're going to take the touchdowns away from Carr. If Darren Waller gets lucky, maybe he gets a touchdown. But either way, Darren Waller is your stud. I don't like Henry Ruggs. I don't like Bryan Edwards, even in this matchup. Can't trust them. On Atlanta's side, man, they're hurting. One, Matt Ryan looked atrocious last week. But two, Julio Jones, like Matt said, he re-injured his left hamstring, the same hamstring he was dealing with in week 2 and then week 4. He practiced limited today. I'd be a little surprised if they don't just sit him out. I hope they do, so he can at least get to close to 100%. And then Todd Gurley popped up on the injury report with his knee. He didn't practice today, and he only played 36% of snaps last week. So I sort of like Brian Hill, sort of, if you're desperate. But again, in a week where there's no bye weeks, you shouldn't need him. One more, Hayden Hurst didn't practice today with his ankle. I'm monitoring that one. They said they expect him to play.
Yeah, and going back to Julio here, if, like you said, there's no bye weeks this week, right? There's talent on the field that's healthy. I know you want to play Julio because of where you drafted him and what kind of stud he is. I know we preach start your studs all the time. I can't recommend Julio this week. If you want to start him, that's fine. That's such a do what you got to do. He may have a big week. I wouldn't doubt Julio, but dealing with the cards were dealt here with that hamstring injury. Going back to week 2 where he was out, he came back for week 3, he tweaked himself again, missed week 4. That's what this kind of feels like to me, where he's going to come back, probably tweak himself in the second quarter and pull himself out again. There is enough healthy starting wide receiver talent out there. Hell, I would be willing to start Hunter Renfrow over Julio this week, just because I feel Hunter Renfrow is a safer start than you guys. Watch your mouths down there.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, don't do that.
We're going to have like these 3 this is going to be like the next t-shirt. It's going to be like me doing like this talk, you guys pointing over to me and go, don't do that. It's going to be like the saying. But seriously, like, I know I've been lucky in one league where I've got Antonio Brown on my bench. I got him off the free agency. He's starting over Julio. It's a safe bet for me to be doing something like that right now. But you've got it. There's better options out there than Julio at 70%. And Julio at 70% is still better than most of the receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, but you nailed it. The volatility is just too high. The risk of him playing 15 snaps and then getting re-injured is just, I wouldn't risk it either.
You know who's going to play more than 15 snaps? Hunter Renfrow.
Hey, don't discount Nelson Aguilar's season. He is looking actually like a pretty good wide receiver right now.
He's looking like everyone. Yeah, he's looking like what everyone wanted Henry Ruggs to look like.
You want to know who could use Nelson Aguilar right now? The Eagles.
Hey, just real quick, assuming the injury and check out Jeff's. He's gonna have a thread about this at some point, but assuming Hayden Hurst is fine, don't run away from him based on last week. The Saints defense have actually been very, very good against tight ends lately. They got killed early on. We all remember watching them against Darren Waller. Don't let that make you think that they're terrible against tight ends. They haven't been. Last 5 weeks, they've only given up 22 fantasy points total to the tight end position. 5 weeks. That's like 4 points a game. It's not very good. Not very many catches. Not very much production. So it's okay. He gave you a 0, but that defense was actually just pretty tough there. So with the
addition of Quan Alexander too.
Yeah. Yes. Makes a big difference. So moving on to the afternoon slate of games. And speaking of those New Orleans Saints who are really good against the running backs and the tight ends, they face in Denver, a Denver team that just knocked off a team that was a playoff team. Actually, the second time Drew Lock has ever beaten a team with a winning record. The Saints defense has been really good. He gets to face them this week. On the Saints side, they've been pretty energized, seems like, based on the comments and Sean Payton's Twitter and all that, by Taysom Hill, and feel like they have something to prove. So here's my question. He's no longer eligible at tight end. We're not going to play him at tight end. Jeff, are you trusting him as a quarterback this week?
I think it really depends on who you have, because Taysom Hill is likely a late pickup that you had. Maybe you had Dak Prescott, maybe you had, someone else who got hurt or is struggling, like a Matt Stafford. For his rushing upside alone, I think I would trust him. Even with Denver, Taysom is not the best quarterback in the NFL. But I think I would trust him as a low end quarterback one with the rushing upside, because you saw last week, they use him at the goal line, in those goal line situations over Alvin Kamara. Matt,
let's talk this over to you with the mute button off.
Why? What I'm going to say is not going to be very favorable to Taysom Hill, because I'm agreeing with Sean here.
Yeah,
Taysom Hill's trash. He shouldn't even be a quarterback. Get him out of there. Done. He ain't going to do what you want him to do. Just saying.
Well, I could not possibly disagree more. I actually think Taysom Hill is a very good quarterback. He looked very good last week. I know there was a couple of throws that people don't like, and those are the ones that get tweeted out. But if you do that for every quarterback, you're going to find that for every quarterback, including Drew Brees, watching Saints games every week. He throws into double coverage all the time. It's not like triple coverage sometimes. It's not like he doesn't. Taysom Hill only had 5 passes that were dropped. He had only had 5 passes that were incomplete. 2 of those were dropped. He had a 50-plus yard touchdown to Emmanuel Sanders that got called back because of holding. And look, here's the biggest thing. He's got Sean Payton and he's got Drew Brees, and they broke down the film. They put a lot of stuff on paper, and now he's going to be able to come back. He's got a good matchup this week, and like you said, he can do a lot on the ground. Now, to Sean's point, I think this is something – maybe I'll toss this back real quickly to you, Jeff, in 30 seconds or whatever. Sean makes the point that he hurts Alvin Kamara. Now, my thing is I think we need to wait to judge that until we see Alvin Kamara fully healthy. Don't forget he was missing practice and things like that prior to last week's game. So let's wait to see that. What do you think?
Yeah, and we might not even see that this week, because he's still banged up. He's still trying to work through, I believe it's an ankle injury, practicing limited today. So I can't even say that Kamara's fully healthy. I know they're giving Latavius Murray some more work. And again, they're using Taysom Hill to run. So I think obviously Taysom Hill doesn't give Alvin Kamara the same upside that Drew Brees does. But it's still Kamara. He's still a threat in the receiving game.
So this is kind of a 2-point thing here. When you look at this with Taysom Hill as a running quarterback draws an extra defender automatically into the box. That does not also help Alvin Kamara in this situation too, having another defender in the box. Whereas, yes, Kamara, you want to bring an extra defender into the box, but you can't because of Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook. These guys are guys who can beat you one-on-one. So you want to play more man, you want to drop off, but now when you bring that extra guy in the box, because Taysom Hill's there, it's going to hurt Kamara. That all said, Denver wins this one.
We will certainly see about that. Real quick on Denver before we jump over to the next one. Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay, fantasy playoffs. They get Carolina, Buffalo, and the Chargers. Those are really good matchups. Actually, really good matchups for Noah Fant as well. So make sure those guys could be really good for us down the stretch.
Can I add
sure.
2 quick notes?
Yep.
Keep an eye on Phillip Lindsay if he's out there on waivers, just because Melvin Gordon's trial is coming up December 14th. There's still a chance he can be suspended for the last 3 games, which would be playoffs. And like Calvin just said, their playoff matchups are fantastic. So I love what Lindsay could do if he had the running back 1 role. The other one I'm looking at too is Jerry Jeudy popped up on the injury report with an ankle and listed as an Achilles injury, which throws a little yellow flag for me. So that's one I'm keeping an eye on. That can easily, you see it with a lot of different players where they're dealing with calf injuries, whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden they rupture an Achilles. So I'm hoping for the best on that end. That's worst case scenario. But that's just something I'm keeping an eye on. I think Jerry Jeudy may be a safe sit for me this week.
Moving on to the next matchup, Jeff, we're going to give you the last word. I want to toss it over to Matt first. And we've got the San Francisco 49ers versus the LA Rams. I think you have to throw the records out when you're talking about these 2 NFC West opponents. Doesn't matter if they're good, doesn't matter if they're bad, whatever. These are teams that know each other well. They want to beat each other, no doubt. The Rams defense, though, they look really good. And I think of all the defenses that are out there, one of the scariest might be this Rams team. So, Matt, before we toss it over to Jeff to give him the last word, are you starting anybody in a San Francisco 49er uniform this weekend?
Do they have anyone that's really healthy? Do they actually have anyone who's really healthy? McKinnon's got the dead leg. He's still got a little bit of that. Tevin Coleman may or may not play. Deebo Samuel may or may not play. Mostert he's able to come. He's IR eligible to come off this week. Can you trust him? You can't trust anyone right now as far as the 49ers going. Now, flipping over to the Rams side of the field, when you've got a dominant interior pass rusher like Aaron Donald and you combine him with a dominant shutdown corner in Jalen Ramsey, who can make I don't even know who the top receiver is right now for your 49ers. Like Ramsey might not even have to shut anyone down. He might just stand out there and no one's even going to go line up against him. Like that's where we're at. But when you've got a dominant shutdown guy and a dominant interior pressure guy, that makes it difficult for opposing offenses to really get anything going. This is not your tip. This is not last year's 49ers team right now, no matter how you want to cut it. This is on paper. On paper, like you said, they play the game on the field. You throw those records out. But this should be a Rams by 3 scores kind of game. That's what it feels like to me, the way the Rams are playing right now. The way Cooper Kupp got going last week. Robert Woods doing his thing. Van Jefferson getting into the end zone. These pass catchers are getting going. The only thing they may have advantage is Jared Goff did throw a couple bad picks last week as well. But man, I don't see how the 49ers are going to stop this Rams offense. I'm excited that the Rams are starting to get back to their Super Bowl type offense they had a couple years ago. I am even more thankful that Cam Akers found the end zone last week. I know it's like a 4-yard pass, but it don't matter. Cam Akers, he's getting hot.
Jeff, what do you think about your Niners?
Yeah, I expect them to lose, but not necessarily by 3 scores. The problem is, everyone's coming back from IR. They're on COVID. I'm hoping Brandon Ayuk can be cleared from COVID in time because I do want to see how he does against Jalen Ramsey. I want him to show just how good he is. So that's one thing that I'd be looking at. Really, the only Niner I would play this week is Raheem Mostert if he's active. If they do elect to bring him back, to me, he's a safe play just based on scheme, and they've given him enough time to get as close to 100% as possible. 4 scores in 7 years ago. Debo, I'm not sure if he'll play yet. That's the goal. I wouldn't play him though if he is active. On the Rams side, Kupp, Woods. I don't know if you necessarily want to bench any of them. Niners are getting Richard Sherman back. K'Wan Williams will be coming back as well. He's not suspended anymore. I don't like it this week for the Niners personally.
Yeah, I want to jump in and let's do some rapid fire here as we try to make sure we stay on our time. Trey asks, "Evening, gents, and happy holidays." Well, happy holidays to you too, Trey. Full PPR, choose two: Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, DeAndre Swift, if he plays, of course, or Todd Gurley. I say you're playing Deontay Johnson and Brandon Cooks. Unless Swift plays, then I play Swift over Cooks. Matt, what do you think?
Oh, you're so cute. No, my original thought was Deontay. It was until I thought, you know what? If I'm watching that injury report, if the injury report has no major, if Marlon Humphrey's not playing and Marcus Peters not playing for the Ravens, then I'm definitely throwing in Deontay Johnson. If both of them are playing, I'm probably leaning towards Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods this week.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson is a must start for me, no matter what. And then the only other one I'm thinking of, DeAndre Swift. If he's active, you're playing him. If DeAndre Swift is not active, instead of Swift, I would play. I think I would play Woods over Cooks. That's close. That's tough.
This one's quick. Should I play Kenyon Drake? No.
You know what? Because go play Kenyon Drake. See how that works out for you. Go play Kenyon Drake.
Okay, moving on. We've got this is one of my favorite matchups of the day. This is the last of our afternoon slate that we're going to talk about. I love that we're going to have a chance to highlight this. It's going to be talked about a lot. It's going to get annoying, but it's still cool. We've got the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, going against Pat Mahomes, who's the best quarterback in the league right now. Tampa Bay, they just gave up 376 yards and 3 touchdowns to Jared Goff. Does that currency exchange end up meaning that Pat Mahomes gets 500 yards and 5 touchdowns? Is that how that works? Jeff, what do you think?
I think so. Tampa's going to have a hard time. And their defense had been playing good for a small stretch, but, Mahomes is just going to tear them apart. I still like CEH in this matchup, even though Tampa Bay has been pretty tough against running backs. On Tampa's side, I saw a stat about Tom Brady's vertical shots, and he's like 0 for 19. It is brutal. So you made a comment earlier. I think you made it, Calvin, about Antonio Brown, and I like him in a PPR matchup. He's becoming that true possession guy for the Bucks, who I think we all thought it was going to be Chris Godwin, and then they signed Brown. So what are your thoughts on the wide receivers for Tampa Bay?
Sorry, I'm going back to what Calvin just said. The best quarterback. He said we were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs matchup, and he referenced the best quarterback. But last time I checked, the best quarterback in the league played for the Chargers.
You mean the Saints?
No, you got a tight end playing quarterback. Anyway, wide receivers, very interesting with Tampa Bay. Mike Williams. Sorry, now I got to think about the Chargers. Mike Evans has 9 touchdown receptions. He only has 568 yards, but he's got 9 touchdown receptions. He is their Taysom Hill. He's their tight end. Okay. So Brady is looking for Mike Evans in the end zone. There's no doubt about it. That's his go-to guy. On the flip side, AB, I love him in PPR this week. I think he could have easy 9-10 targets against the Chiefs because I really believe that this is another shit kicking for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't see how they match up here. It's going to be fun. I love Devonte David. I love Devin White as far as IDP goes. And as players, they're fun to watch. But I just don't see how Bunting is going to be able to match up with Tyreek Hill. I don't see how Jamal Dean is going to be able to match up with the likes of a Jason Kelce. Devin White can probably give Kelce a little bit of a run for his money here. Devin White's a good guy. Devonte David, Devin White are good guys in coverage, but it's Travis Kelce. It's Tyreek Hill. It's Mecole Hardman. They don't have the speed to match the Chiefs' speed. They are not the Las Vegas Raiders where they're going to be able to go blow for blow with the Chiefs. If you know what I'm saying. They've got Tom Brady. They don't have Derek Carr. He can't keep up with Patrick Mahomes. So, Brian Pringle as well. Let's not forget about him. But you talk about wide receivers. The wide receiver I'm probably looking at is probably Mike Evans, just based on the touchdown potential for the Bucs. If I'm going to choose one, Chris Godwin, where's he been really? We talked about him coming into the season that he would be that slot guy. But I like how Sean pointed out, they're 1-2 since AB joined. I've been saying this for weeks. That chemistry has not been there. Going back to the 49ers game real quick, even if all the 49ers players got healthy, they haven't played with each other. There's no chemistry right now. That has to come into effect. Throwing AB in there, I'm going to put your son over my knee here. Just you wait. Putting AB in there when the team was cooking was a big mistake for the Bucs, in my opinion. Yes, he is a talented receiver, but now you've thrown another dominant receiver in there with two other dominant receivers, and I can't think everything is hunky-dory in that wide receiver room right now.
We're going to move on to the next one. Last quick point. Tom Brady is actually a guy that might be acquirable in your fantasy leagues if you're a guy contending for a championship. Weeks 14, so he gets a bye in week 13, a much-needed bye. That team has not taken a break yet. That is something that they need. They get a week 13 bye. Then they get Minnesota, Atlanta, and Detroit in the fantasy playoffs. That is a good matchup for Tom Brady. If you are a quarterback away from winning a championship in your league, that might be a guy that you can think about. You don't need another reason to play Pat Mahomes, but if you are going against Pat Mahomes in week 16, Pat Mahomes is facing the Atlanta Falcons. That is not good. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, NFC North matchup.
Hey, Calvin.
Yeah.
One other note, too, that might make you reconsider starting Tom Brady. Granted, he still has the weapons. I got a notification as well that the Bucs starting center, A.Q. Shipley, suffered a career-ending neck injury. Granted, they have what's his name, Ryan Jensen, who was originally a center, but yeah, just something else to think about there.
Yeah, Sean, Woe is right on that. That is not what you want to hear. That's for sure. I still like the matchups. I still think Tom Brady's going to do good in those. Moving on to the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers in a matchup that, if you look at it, the Bears are not technically out of the playoff picture or even out of the NFC North Championship. They get 2 shots at Green Bay. They're only 2 games back. I don't know. We now get the return of Mitch Trubisky. Matt, could Mitch Trubisky be the savior that Chicago is looking for and has been looking for all along?
Okay, 2 things. One, the Packers are going to put the Bears to bed, just like Taysom Hill fans should be right now. It's like 11 o'clock there. Come on, man. 2, can someone please look? This is rhetorical because I actually know what the answer is. Can someone please tell me how many games Mitch Trubisky's lost this season? 0. Sorry, Big Dick Nick. Mitch Trubisky is the man. And I'm calling my shot here now. As much as I believe the Packers are going to absolutely destroy the Bears this week, As much as I think that there's no answer, no team has an answer for Devonte Adams. The only time Devonte Adams was shut down was the 1 week he missed. Like, if you look at his numbers right now, he's the wide receiver 1 by a large margin, and he missed a game because of injury. It's not even close as far as wide receiver ranks going. But the Bears have Mitch Trubisky. I'm calling my shot now. Trubisky plays, Bears win. By the way, start David Montgomery.
Jeff, what do you think?
Oh man, I was I was teetering on that last bit, and then you had to add start David Montgomery. I hang on to someone's quote of saying you need 8 points from David Montgomery, he gets you 10. You need 20 points from David Montgomery, he gets you 10. He, on the bright side, David Montgomery was cleared from concussion protocol. He seems to be on the mend from the neck injury as well. So yes, if you need a running back, Green Bay is a fantastic matchup. We saw what Jonathan Taylor did to Green Bay. DeMont is not Jonathan Taylor, but he's worth starting. I think Mitch Trubisky, he doesn't get the win, but I think he finally gives Darnell Mooney, which I'm part of a small group that started hashtag free Darnell Mooney. Man, I hope they just let it rip and give Darnell Mooney a bunch of targets, and he gets a touchdown or two.
We all want to see Mooney get going.
Oh.
There's no doubt about it. I loved him. I loved him a lot coming out of Tulane there. He was one of those guys I praised him to the nines. When he went to the Bears, I was like, you know what? This could work out good. With the way Mitch Trubisky moves that pocket from time to time, way he should be playing the quarterback position works so well with what Mooney does. Because you turn your back on Mooney and he's gone. Yeah. The second you look back at what the quarterback's doing, Mooney's going to be gone. He's got the arm to get there. Nick Foles didn't have that. You've seen him miss Mooney time and time again. Allen Robinson, man, you deserve better. We don't deserve Allen Robinson right now. You're talking about a guy who's had Bortles and Trubisky and that other quarterback, Foles. Like, he has not been blessed with a good quarterback play at any point in his career. So Trubisky for the win.
I agree with Sean. Someone's been smoking the Canadian Christmas tree, but it's very possible that I've been smoking it too. Because look, for what it costs, I think I'm acquiring David Montgomery right now. Because listen to this stretch. The next 3 weeks, he gets Green Bay, Detroit, and Houston. Those are literally the three worst defenses in the league at giving up fantasy points to running backs. And after that, they get Minnesota and Jacksonville. Those are also pretty bad defenses. So I don't know. There could be some redemption from David Montgomery. I don't know that I'm necessarily saying he definitely will, but crazier things have happened, and he's pretty cheap. So let's jump in now. We got our Monday Night Football matchup, the last matchup of the week. The second place Seattle Seahawks versus the first place, somehow, Philadelphia Eagles. They are somehow the first place team in the NFC East, is a 5-point underdog at home to the wild card team, the Seattle Seahawks. And honestly, that kind of feels low. Matt, my biggest question in this matchup, are we going to see Jalen Hurts?
Okay, before I get into that question, I just want to go back. Just got an alert through Sleeper. Todd Gurley was not at practice on Wednesday, so use that however you will. It's only Wednesday, but there was no Todd Gurley at practice for the Falcons.
See, this is another. Matt doesn't listen to me when I talk.
I know. I'm just kind of all over the place. That was like literally.
That was like 20 minutes ago.
If I go on the show sheet here that Calvin was so put out here, that was like, oh man, Atlanta's game. Atlanta. I don't even remember talking about Atlanta. What was the? Oh, Vegas. They were playing Vegas.
See, you were thinking Derek Carr.
That's all I was thinking. I blocked everything out but Julio and Carr. Let's be honest. Everything was blocked out but Julio and Carr.
Sleeper alert. Rewind and listen to what Jeff said.
So what we learned from this is Jeff has you covered before Sleeper has you. Fact.
That
just
is right.
Don't fact check.
Fantasy Twitter's #1 doctor, Jeff.
All right, Seattle, Philly.
Okay, what do you want me to say? Who? What? Jalen Hurst? What? Who are you talking about? What?
Are we going to see Jalen Hurts? That's the question.
Philly quarterback 1.
No, we're not going to say Hurts. He's going to come in. He might have a couple plays here and there. I know Peterson was kind of coy about it in his presser here today. It's still Cameron. It's Carson Wentz. Cameron. Wow, I am losing it. It's still Carson Wentz's team. I don't care how you want to look at it here. If Jalen Hurts was ready, he would already be in my opinion, the way Carson Wentz has been playing. Do they have some plays designed for him? Will you have a series here and there? Perhaps. But as far as going on and performing and playing in this game, I think it's Carson Wentz's team going forward, at least the rest of the season. I'm going to be bold here. The Eagles are a 5-point underdog. I think the Eagles win this game against the Seahawks. It's going to be interesting because I think it's going to be one of those high-scoring games because I don't think either defense is going to stop anyone. And when you look at it here, I think you could start multiple players in this here, especially in your flex spots. You're going to start DK. You're going to start Lockett. Those are no-brainers. I'm going to probably fire up a little bit of I think Travis Fulgham is going to come back. He's had a couple down weeks. He's a guy you can fire up in your lineup. And I think you could fire up Miles Sanders here a little bit. But Jordan Howard's back. I don't think he's playing in this game, though, because he just signed. He's going to wait that 5-day period, if I'm not mistaken, right? If that's how that COVID works, he just signed.
I think he passed that, actually. Let me check.
So we're going to fact check this for you right now. Listen up. This is like literally the second fact check in the history of the show.
Listen, we're not turning to Sleeper to figure this out for us. We are turning to Jeff to figure this out.
We are turning to Jeff.
Jeff,
You're going to get a t-shirt. Hang on. Let's go back to Sean's here again. This will be on a t-shirt. This is going to be on a t-shirt coming soon. Jeff, greater than Sleeper. Okay?
That's right. That's right.
Pressure's on Jeff to find the actual answer here.
I was going to say, I can't find anything either.
Well,
he's signed. He's signed to. I was stuck on the first article I pulled up is Jordan Howard signed to practice squad, and then underneath season saved. I agree. I agree with one thing you said. I think on that Seahawks are gonna destroy the Eagles. That's not even a question in my mind. One, because Chris Carson's gonna be back, and he's a madman, and no one's gonna want to tackle that guy. He's a beast. Two,
I love Chris Carson.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, if he's active for sure, which I think he will, based on injury report and things I've read. I think Chris Carson will be active. You should start him because he will come out like a madman. Miles Sanders, as much as I love him, if you have him, you're starting him. The one thing that concerns me is Doug Peterson's usage. He gave him 2 touches in the second half. It blows my mind. I don't know why they don't give him more.
So in one league, I'm going to be honest, I don't want to humble brag, but I got a pretty good running back stable with Jacobs, Connor, James Robinson. Miles Sanders is sitting on my bench this week because I cannot trust him.
Over James Conner?
I can't trust him. Miles Sanders, I can't. I know most people have to start him because of a necessity. You probably draft him in the first, second round, maybe even in the first, back end of the first.
Yeah, back end.
But I'm telling you, man, I can't get on him right now. I can't trust Miles Sanders.
It's been brutal. Well, and yeah, if you follow me too, I am a proponent of selling Miles Sanders, especially in Dynasty, having 6 big injuries in a span of 13 months. He's not built for the workhorse role. I think Doug Peterson is realizing that. He keeps bringing up running back by committee. They re-signed Jordan Howard. There's just too many signs.
I'd rather start Philip Lindsay this week. I'm sure Calvin's going to tell us how shitty of a schedule Miles Sanders has coming up for the playoffs.
What I am going to tell you is if you were some reason holding on to Travis Fulgham, this is not the time to bench him. He actually, or not time to drop him. Keep him on your bench, sure. But 7 targets last week for, I know he only had 1 catch for 8 yards. That 7 targets, that led the Philadelphia Eagles. I actually walked away a little more encouraged about him. I know the numbers weren't good. You shouldn't have been starting him. We told you not to start him. But don't drop him. If you were hanging on to him, keep hanging on to him. We are now finished with our previews. And look at that. We are 10 seconds away from 90 minutes. We did it.
Actually, we both cut Jeff off. He wasn't done talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I needed to get in.
And I'm done.
Remember, Calvin, no one's tuning in for you and me. They're tuning in for Jeff.
That's not true.
Understand.
I will add one thing, and I know we fought so much about like, oh, don't add one more thing. But my concern with Fulgham, as much as I love him, Zach Ertz is coming back. So I'm really curious how that affects the wide receiver volume. Rieger's emergence, Goddard's emergence, Zach Ertz coming back. I'm just kind of curious. And plus Wentz can't even hit him, you know. So.
Yeah. And I do like the matchups. Obviously with the Seahawks this week. I mean, that's Rager. I mean, we all saw a lot of rookies breaking out. Rager might be the next one to break out. Yeah, we got a new show title.
Oh, jeez.
Thanks, Sean.
Oh, man.
The Jeff.
I don't think the hot take, if you want to call it that, I don't think the Eagles will be true fantasy producers until Jalen Hurts plays and Wentz gets out of there. Wentz is not good.
I'm just doing a fact checking here real quick. Just a second.
Do we want to do maybe 5-10 minutes of start sit? Any last start sit questions or anything, or call it done after the fact check?
I'm trying to pull up some stuff here. Just bear with me here.
Is Calvin frozen?
No, he's just really staring intently at what I'm about to do. Calvin probably knows I'm up to something stupid. That's kind of what I do here. Oh, don't want that one.
Oh yeah, he got bounced.
Oh yeah, he really knew I was going to do something stupid. He just left.
Wentz is bad.
There we go. Let's pull this up. Let's go here. Let's go here. Pull that up. Share that.
It's like if you're going to put Jalen Hurts out there, why only have him rush?
Oh, come on. I wanted to put the other guy's posters up. So while we wait for Calvin to try and get back into the room here, I guess I'll kind of go where we're going here. You want to go for 5 minutes here about something?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone has any last start sit questions or anything. DFS plays, I don't know. Just last minute questions.
So if any last minute questions come in here, we'll definitely hit that up. I think we're kind of rolling on the bottom end here. Make sure I'm just trying to pull up my banners. Show this. Go. I don't know if my screen sharing's not been working very well. So head over to Viridian Global. This is kind of what we've got going on here right now. You want to take a look at some sweet ass designs. We've got our Dynasty Vipers, the website t-shirt here for you in multiple colors. If you want to check that out, we've also got the podcast shirt going on too that you can check out in multiple colors as well. So very slick, very clean. Viridian put a new little spin on it. Very affordable too. So make sure you check that out. You get a chance. Also, we're up to $15 on the No Kid Hungry. Now that number doesn't look that impressive right now, but it's more than what they had, what there was to begin with. So every little bit helps right now. So if you get an opportunity, make sure you go up there, support me and Chase and our chest waxing. But more importantly, think about people who are less fortunate than us right now. If you can, please consider it. Okay, that's all I got to say about that one there. Once I shut the screen off. There we go. I guess we'll be one more thing. Calvin, or let's go. You're the host. You get to go last. Jeff, one more thing.
Well, yeah. Start sit questions there.
Yuck. Give me Gage.
Yeah, well, especially if Julio's out.
Calvin?
Yeah, Gage.
Jeff?
Gage.
All three agreed. you can put it on the board. Yes.
All right. Well, I think, we've done our promoting. We got through all the games. Now we get to go to bed. We wake up. It's going to be Thanksgiving here. Sorry, Matt, you don't get to do Thanksgiving again. I know you already had yours.
You know what? I am a selfish lover, and I have got myself a turkey I'm picking up tomorrow. I'm going to throw it in there. I'm going to celebrate American Thanksgiving with the rest of y'all. And I'm going to put football in. I'm going to eat Cheetos. I'm wearing my tidy whities, and I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm also going to hopefully try and get up at 4:30 in the morning and jump on with fantasy football down under.
I love it. Definitely check that one out. Matt, anything else that you want to promote before we go?
No, I think we hit it up. You guys know that I really believe in this no kid hungry thing. I think it's very important. If we, as humans, if we can help one another out any way, shape, or form that we can do so. I'm not a complete jerk. I do have some goodness in me somewhere, and this is one of those few times I actually act like a human being that you might want to actually know. So if you can, support it. You know what? If you're at your local McDonald's and you see someone out there like a homeless man or something who may be down on his luck, go get him a Big Mac. It doesn't have to be much. Just any kind of we're in that season right now where it pays to be good. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people down on their luck right now, especially with COVID and everything going on. Go out there and just love on one another. That's all I got to say.
Love that. Jeff, last word.
Yeah, I echo that. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I would go Wentz over Stafford as much as I don't like Wentz. And I'll be doing injury threads Thursday and Friday. So keep an eye out for those. Any injuries that occur during the games, I'll try to post those as well. I'm managing a clinic right now, so it's a little behind, but yeah, I'll have all that out.
Also, I would go Wentz too because as Jeff pointed out earlier, I haven't got a sleeper alert yet, but Kenny Golladay is probably out. So
you don't listen to me when I talk, Matt.
You know what? The best part about Calvin being frozen right now is he looks so intent on what you're saying.
Yeah.
Even
really paying attention.
So let's wrap this up here right now. For Jeff,
we got. How do I get a screenshot? Oh, you bounced it out.
Sorry.
How do you screenshot?
We got the YouTube video. We've got
yeah.
We're good. We got the frozen stuff going on. For Calvin and Hobby, for Jeff, and for myself, this is episode 28 of the Vipers ViperCast, and we gone!